Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about statistics for data science. Before we actually learn about data science, we need to understand why statistics is so crucial for data science. We know that statistics deals with mostly data, and data is the most focal point for any data scientist. Without data, there is no data science. Before we start with all the mathematical equations and concepts, let's go through the concept why is statistics so important. So let me ask you this. Most of our life is constituted of the decisions we make. We make decisions every day. We get up, we decide which tie should I wear today, and from that to the biggest decision, like which real estate should I invest in. So our life, our everyday lives are basically decisions, and we actually are making decisions so unconsciously in a split of a second, but we're doing that almost always continuously, even now. So we can all agree that we spend most significant amount of time and effort to get our decisions right. We need to get these decisions right in order to have a happy life, in order to succeed, in order to feel good about yourself. So we make a lot of decisions and we put out a lot of time and effort to get these right. Why is this? Why are we so fixated on this point? Why do we make so many decisions? Basically, I would say this is human nature. That's how we actually do things. We consider everything as a problem and we spend time and energy on it to solve it. So we can say that it is particularly human nature. But how do we do this? Is this something like no one ever stops to think about it, but because everyone is making decisions quite quickly, no one is actually asking themselves how. But we can agree on this. All of the decisions we make are based on the information we already have. Like, which tie should I wear? So the color of tie you choose for yourself is not the color you like, but actually your boss likes. So that information about the favorite color of your boss is stored in your head. So you use that information and actually make the decision. So let's revise. We make decisions and those decisions are based on the information we already have. That information can also be called as data. So we're using the stored data in our memory to make decisions, and hopefully we need to get those decisions right. And these decisions are actually arise from the questions we ask ourselves. So how do we actually start making these decisions every day? First of all, we come across with the question, an uncertainty. You're not sure. So whenever that uncertainty is there, you actually have to make a right decision. So why is this? Why are we so fixated on making so many decisions? What actually causes us to make so many decisions? As a person, we are often faced with an uncertainty, which means we are faced with a problem on which we are not sure what the solution is. So that's why we have to decide, we have to come up with a solution. So for that purpose, we have to make so many decisions. Whenever we are faced with uncertainty, we make a decision. We have to choose between one option or the other. So how do we make our decisions? Is there some thought process involved? Obviously, we don't stop to think about it, whether like the tie example, if we're thinking about which color of the tie should I wear, we don't usually think twice, but sometimes we actually do. Sometimes we think a lot about our decisions. And if you actually take a closer look and actually think about it, it's basically based on the information you already have. For example, let's take the tie example again. So you have to decide which color of the tie you wear. So the color you decide is not the one you actually like, but the one your boss likes. So the information you have about the favorite color of your boss is actually stored in your memory. So you use that information to come up with a decision. So basically we are employing two types of methods here. One is intuitive and one is statistical. The intuitive way is the tie color selection decision. We basically make it in every day. Whenever you're choosing a restaurant, you don't actually conduct a full statistical process to it. You're just you're thinking, so you have some information, some recommendations from your friends, and you decide on that. Let's say intuitive decisions are fine, but because the trade-off is not that great, choosing a wrong restaurant might hurt for a day or two, but it won't hurt you that much. But let's say if you choose the wrong investment opportunity, and you lose a lot of money. So whenever the amount of money and whenever the trade-off is greater or on a large scale, we use statistical methods to decide and to solve a question and to make decisions. So far, we've learned that intuitive decisions often involve less data and you make these decisions in your everyday lives. But statistical decisions in which the solution can make a great difference, in which there is money is involved, these decisions are often big and they often involve a lot of data. So that's where statistics actually comes in. When we have a lot of data and we have to make a decision and we have to come up with a solution to a particular answer. And how do we come up to that solution is basically where we employ the use of data science. That's where data science comes in. You have a data and then you use statistics to describe the data and to infer from the data, and using all that information is actually used in the further phases in the later on stages of data science. So let's take a look at this Venn diagram. This Venn diagram actually tells us how is basically data science constituted of different components. We have computer science, we have mathematics and statistics, and we have domain and business knowledge. So as we saw earlier, we can use statistics to describe and infer from the data. The thing about statistic is that we can make decisions by using only statistics and not using any computer science or programming method. Obviously there would be computations involved, but what I'm trying to say is we're not using machine learning, which is an entirely different domain but a part of data science. So if we're somehow using computer science along with mathematics and statistics, we are actually using machine learning. So another name for that would be machine learning, a combination of mathematics, statistics, and computer science. Like I said, we can also use traditional methods, but later on in the course we will see why traditional methods are not so successful and why machine learning is so popular nowadays. So what else is important, that as a data scientist, you are someone who knows more statistics than a programmer and more programming than a statistician. Let's look at the different branches of statistics. So basically we have two branches. We have descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. The descriptive statistics deals with the description and representation of data. And inferential statistics, we infer and make decisions from the data we have. Both of them are quite crucial in the whole data science process.